Good morning. Reminder about the upcoming assignments. Okay. So yesterday we started talking about revising as it's going to apply to your assignment that you're working on for Thursday. So here's a little bit of a cheat sheet on how to revise. We talked about yesterday the 3 things that you can add, right, in order to add necessary content. What were those 3 things that you can add? You add to your draft to flesh it out. We're at the revision stage. You've already done your pre-writing, you put it into a shitty first draft, right? And now you're revising it to make all your ideas to go from telling us what you want to tell us to showing us. So what do you need to add to show us? Anyone? Bueller? Anyone taking notes out there? It's a good idea if you do have a laptop on your phone.
Ah, não, idiota. Por que cool assim?
How about examples, guys? Descriptions, explanations of your thinking. So you've already put your draft aside. Okay, that gives you some time and space from it. You got feedback, right? Yesterday, you guys were working on, or not yesterday, Thursday, you guys were giving each other some feedback. Here's another great idea: construct a backward outline of your essay. And that basically means you look at each paragraph and you identify the main idea. This is great for spotting if there are ideas where they should not be, because if the main idea of that paragraph is to describe your dog, right? You look through that paragraph, and if you start talking about your cat, it's in the wrong paragraph, right? That's called paragraph unity. So one thing you can do when you're revising to make sure everything is in the right places is ask yourself, what's the main point of this paragraph? My dog's adorable, right? Does everything in this paragraph support that main idea? If it does, you're in good shape. You may need to add some more examples of their cute behavior, right? Describe some more about it, what the dog looks like. But then if there's anything that doesn't belong there, it may need to move to a different paragraph and it's supporting a different idea. Consider the connections between the ideas. Then you start connecting the dots for us, basically showing us also, in spite of, because, using all of those nice transition words. This is another good place. Make sure your thesis is clear, what it is that you want to say about a topic. Okay. Now that you know what you're really arguing, work on the introduction and conclusion. We're going to talk about some intro and conclusion techniques next week as we get into talking about telling stories. Make sure you have topic sentences for your paragraphs so that we're clear on what each paragraph is trying to communicate to us. Okay. And then proofread, you really get into that, into the editing stage. So this is a good place to get feedback as well as to add examples, descriptions, and explanations of your thinking. What I beg you not to do is do not fluff your paper. So what I mean by this is sometimes you'll have a perfectly innocent sentence that you take and you make it so complicated, right? A simple sentence that's saying what you want it to say. So let's look at an example. Okay. I'm pulling this from another essay. I'm stealing it. Excuse me. Share my screen here. So you can have a nice clear sentence like fast driving is dangerous, right? Okay, that's a clear idea. But you're like, I'm short, right? I don't have enough to fill up all of the space. I need like another half a page. So you do something to this poor sentence like this. In my humble opinion, I do not claim to be an expert on this topic. Fast driving would seem to be rather dangerous, or at least so it would. Please don't do that. Instead, add those examples, descriptions, and explanations, because those are the things we really need. Okay, because what this does is bury your idea. Now it's much harder for me to see. Sometimes the more words you put between us and an idea, the less chance there is we understand. Okay, so don't fluff up your paper. If you're tempted to, I can help you. I can help you add content that you really need. But then I don't know, if you don't tell me that you're having a problem, I don't know if you think you need all of this or if you're actually just trying to stretch it out. And this just, your points are falling as we speak because it's so hard to read your paper. And I'm crossing out so many words that you don't need. Okay. So yes, please don't do this dastardly thing to your poor paper. Make your ideas clear and then use examples, descriptions, and explanations to develop your thoughts and to show us what you mean instead of just unnecessary words. Okay, please. All right. So let's talk a little bit about the next stage also of writing. And that would be editing. Okay. So when you are editing, you're looking at things like word choice, transitions, sentence flow. And we're going to talk about some different kinds of sentences that you can use because you want a sentence variety. If you have all of the same type of sentences, your paper gets really choppy. So if you say, I went to the store, I bought some apples, I checked out, I got in my car, I went home. it's like, we're reading it and it's like, anybody know how to drive a stick shift? Like learning to drive a stick shift for the first time and you're like, stop, start, stop, start, stop, start. So you need some longer sentences. You need some compound sentences, some complex sentences. We'll talk about what those are, okay? But in editing, that's what you're looking for. Word choice, sentence flow, transitions, all of those good things that make it easy to read. Easy and interesting. Okay? So in your shitty first draft, you may have something like the dog ran down the street, right? Okay, so everybody picture a dog. Don't say it out loud, but picture a dog in your head. Okay, once you have a picture of the dog, in the comments, put what kind of dog that you're thinking about. What kind of dog do you see in your head? What breed? Golden Retriever. I see a German Shepherd. Bulldog. Pit Bull. Doberman. Good. Another Golden Retriever. Yep. I mean, usually we think about dogs we've had. That's what I do. Mine was a German Shepherd mix. A Dachshund, yeah. Now think about the difference between a picture of a Dachshund and a Doberman, right? Those are two very different looking dogs, or a Golden Retriever and a Bulldog. So if you write the dog ran down the street, one person's thinking of a Bulldog and somebody else is thinking of a Golden Retriever and somebody else is thinking of a Pit Bull, okay? A Poodle. So what you need to do is be specific. Now that you're at the editing phase, the bulldog ran down the street. Okay. Then you put the picture that you specifically want us to have in our heads, because it's going to create a different mood if a bulldog's running down versus a chihuahua, right? Or a little dachshund. So the next thing you want to do is look at your verbs. So the bulldog ran. How many different ways are there to say that somebody's moving quickly? He ran down the street. What do you think? What are some synonyms? I'll put out the first one. He sprinted. You may cheat and use your computer. No, it's not cheating. One of the great things about Word is the magic right click button. Let me show you. So you highlight the word, then you right click on it, okay, and then you go to synonyms. So here we have, the bulldog didn't run, they sprinted, raced, started, rushed, dashed, hurried, scuttled, scampered, scurried. What you have to ask yourself is, what did they do? In my mind, what am I picturing them doing? They galloped. That's a very different picture than if they, you know, scurried or scampered, right? English is a great language. It's a really hard language to learn. I'm sorry, all of you non-native speakers. It's a pain to learn. It is. But it's a great language because if we don't have a word, we'll go steal it from another language, right? I used to have a t-shirt that said, English doesn't steal from other languages. It follows them down dark alleys, bashes them over the head, and goes through their pockets for loose grammar. Okay? So if we like a word, we'll just take it and incorporate it into English. Because there are nuances to these words, you know. Sprinting is slightly different from scurrying and racing and darting. So To get your ideas across most accurately, now you want to focus on the words that you're choosing. Okay? The bulldog galloped down the street, or sprinted, okay, or dashed. The bulldog was a blur as it sprinted down the street. Questions so far? So one great essay I'd like to take a look at that talks about this is by Natalie Goldberg. Okay, she's a writer, and she has this great short little essay called "Be Specific." She says, "Give things the dignity of their names." All right. So I'd like you guys all to read this. It's just these 2 short pages. Okay. See the best way to, yeah, that's probably the best way for you to see it all. Go back one. Okay, so take 10 minutes and read this, and then we're going to talk about it. Okay, if you have questions while you're reading, you can type them in the chat. Okay. So why does she say that it's important to give things the right name? Claire, what do you think?
What was the question again?
Why is it important to use the right name for something?
So the audience has a better understanding of what you are trying to talk about.
Yeah, I like the way she says up here at the top of the page, it penetrates more deeply into the beingness, right, of that thing. In this case, she's talking about flowers. Yeah. So names are extremely important. And you guys are in college to learn to be better writers. If nothing else, one of the ways you can elevate your writing is to choose better words. Okay. Now that means knowing more words. A caution and a caveat to that is do not thesauricize your paper. Like if you don't know what that word means, you're like, oh, that's a nice big word. I'll just smack that in there. Sometimes I'll read someone's paper and I'm like, well, that's a weird word to use there. I don't quite. And then I think about it and say, they clicked on the magic right click button, which I love the magic right click button. Don't get me wrong. But if you don't know exactly what that word means and you use it in the wrong place, it's going to bring us out of what you're saying more than it is going to help us understand it. Okay. So choose the right words, but make sure you know what those words mean. Okay. So you want to use the best words that you know, basically. Yes, I like you get a very specific picture. You don't leave it a miles of room for misinterpretation, right? So that dog running down the street, lots of us are going to see many different things unless you're very specific about the wording that you choose, right? You create, excuse me, a specific picture for your audience, like Anna is saying. Even to the same, William Carlos Williams in this poem is talking about a flower on a specific day of the year. That's how specific he's getting. Yes, Camilla, excellent point. It kind of forces you to learn more about your world, which being knowledgeable is never a bad thing. And the other thing that I think is cool about being a writer is it makes you more present. I don't know about you guys, but I sometimes have trouble staying in the present. My mind is always like in fast forward, like what do I have to do next Monday? What do I have to do, this evening? And I feel like I miss a lot of my life because I'm so much in the future. But when you're a writer, you really have to think about what something is and what it looks like and what it means, and it kind of slows you down. I feel like I get more out of my life. I get more juice out of my life when I'm writing because I'm really present and really examining something in the now. So if you want to be a writer, you like writing, think about that. That's one of the advantages, is keeping you in the now. Because if you're really thinking about something in the present, like what word is it? What name is it? And I mean, it's just respect for your subject too, right? If we came to class and I was like, well, I can't be bothered to learn your names. I'm going to call you number 1 and you number 2 and you number 3. How do you feel about that, number 3? What would you think? What is my attitude toward the class if I don't bother to remember anybody's name? I mean, I don't sometimes, but not for lack of trying. What does it seem like if I don't even care what your name is? How would you feel about the class? It's like, I don't care what your name is. I don't care how to pronounce it. I don't care what you prefer to be called. I'm just going to call you number 1. I mean, that's why we give prisoners numbers. It's like a dehumanizing thing. Very scary. Yeah, it seemed like I'm just not interested in knowing who you are or what makes you unique as an individual, and that I don't really care about what I'm teaching. Names are important, the right names. So let's try some out together. So like, anybody like cheese? I am a huge cheese fan. So what are let's look at all the different types of cheese. Put a type of cheese in the comments, or say it, and I'll type it. What are the types? Mozzarella, good cheese. Yeah, long, stringy mozzarella on pizza. That's what I think of. Colby Jack, American. Which, white American or yellow American? Like, I forgot there was white American until I went to a restaurant a few weeks ago, or ordered from the restaurant. I didn't get to go to restaurants. Provolone, yes, the famous St. Louis cheese. Pepper jack, feta. Oh, my daughter's a huge feta fan. She like puts feta on everything. Cheddar, yeah. She also likes one called Cotswold, which is like cheddar with like green onion embedded in it, which is pretty tasty. So like, it's not just cheese, you know, it's white cheddar, or it's pepper jack, or it's melting mozzarella stringing its way off the pizza, you know? What about birds? Put a kind of bird in the chat, or say it. Anybody bird watch in your backyard? I do sometimes. My favorite are cardinals. What else we have? Bald eagle. Yeah, there's a great bald eagle cam on YouTube over the river. A couple bald eagles had a nest with eggs in it. If you want to check it out, it's pretty cool. Maybe I'll post it on Brightspace later. You can watch. Oh, their chicks are probably grown now. So we have cardinals, bald eagles. What else? Only 2 birds in the room. You can look them up. My current favorite is an owl. I'm into owls lately. Hummingbird, that's my daughter's favorite. Yeah. She's big into hummingbirds. Ooh, key, a quetzal. I think I know what that looks like. Let's pull that up there. Oh, Camilla's back to cheese. Now I want cheese. Let's get an image. Ooh, pretty. That is a gorgeous bird. Look at that bird. Yeah, see, I need to know more about birds so I can really picture it if you use that bird in your writing. Very pretty. I am a word collector. The more words I have, the closer I can get to people understanding me when I write. So let's do one more. How about cars? Kinds of cars. I have a, what do I have? My mind just gone blank. My first car was just a boring tan Ford Escort. Not a sports car. Let's look at what that is. a nice car. My dad has a CRV, Ford Fusion. Red Ford Escort, yeah. Now red, what color red? Was it an orange red? Was it candy apple red? Was it deep maroon red? White Jeep, same thing with white. Was it like, well, white's, you know, these are all, well, is it this kind of white? This one looks a little bit duller. Nissan Altima. Yeah, darker red, closer to maroon. Yeah. Black Malibu. Excuse me. Yeah, the car wasn't racing down the street. The maroon Ford Escort was chugging away. What about, then there, well, I guess a truck is a car of a sort. Ooh, yeah, that's a really cool model. Yeah. Malibu. Not that Malibu. Very sporty. My friend in high school had a red Ford Mustang that we used to drive around in. Older, like this one-ish. No, it was older than that. Yeah, more like this one. She had a muscle car. Hyundai Santa Fe. These are all very different pictures, right? Okay, we're about out of time. So I'm going to go ahead and end this session and open up 10 minutes for questions and comments. So what you should do is take this and apply it to your cover letter and resume and choose the best words. So don't choose words like good and bad, or, you know, choose words that really get to the heart of what you're talking about with your skill set and that are professional words. Okay. And if you have any questions, join me for the 10 minutes after class. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow. Think about words as you go through your day. Bye.